So how would the author of text 1 most likely regard the situation presented in the underlined sentence in text 2? And so here I'm going to go ahead and read text 2 first, so that we understand the underlined sentence and then have a better idea of how they might react to it. So with her cookbook, The Taste of Country Cooking, Edna Lewiis popularized the refined Southern cooking she had grown up with in her childhood. So she also set a new standard for cookbook writing. The recipes and memoir passages interspersing them, sort of coming in between the recipes, are written in prose more elegant than that of most novels. Yet, despite its inarguable value as a piece of writing, so you can't argue it, it's valuable. Okay, so despite the inarguable value, her masterpiece was or has received almost no attention from literary scholars. Okay, Lewis's cookbook equals overlooked masterpiece. How would the first author feel about this? So it says, although food writing is one of the most widely read genres in the United States, literary scholars have long neglected it. So overlooked it or neglected it. So within the genre, cookbooks attract the least scholarly attention of all. So you've got food writing in general and cookbooks in particular. And this is regardless of how well written they might be. So even though her prose is elegant than that of most novels, so we see a lot of agreement here. So this is especially true of works dedicated to regional U.S. cuisines, like Southern cooking, whose complexity and historical significance are often overlooked. So the author of the first passage would say that, well, this is pretty typical because food writing in general, cookbooks in particular, tend to be overlooked. And this is an example of that genre, and it is overlooked. So there's nothing surprising here. So A is a good example of one we'd want to be careful about. Because typical, yes, I did write typical, but the reason is not correct. It's not that scholars are dismissive of literary works, all literary works that achieve popularity with the general public. It's about food writing in particular. And so scholars tend to overlook the literary value of food writing in general and of regional cookbooks in particular. So I would say that's a good example of a trap, and I certainly didn't remember that started out with typical, but this definitely can happen where you find an answer choice where the first word is totally fine, or the first part of it is totally fine, but you want to make sure and check the second part. If we look at C and D here, I think we could get rid of C based on the first word. So I guess you could say that first word can't make it, guarantee that it's correct, but it can tell you that it's wrong. And then D as inevitable. That's a pretty extreme word. Unavoidable, inevitable. And we don't have any evidence to support that, so that's not going to be correct. So remember, it's got to be all the way correct, or at least all the way not wrong. None of the parts wrong in order to be correct. You can certainly have half right answers like like A, but half right means it's also half wrong.